Welcome back to another episode of Safety Speaks. I'm Taryn.
And I'm Darren.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yes.
We're going to talk about pre-employment testing. And we've already covered pre-employment testing and a lot of drug and alcohol stuff in previous episodes. But today we're really going to focus on some specific exemptions because from what I understand, companies are starting to do acquisitions and mergers, and this is not a new thing to the industry, but this topic has come up as you've been out in the field lately.
Yes.
And so tell us a little more about if I acquire a business with 100 trucks and all of their paperwork, what do pre-employment tests mean to me?
And I'm glad you mentioned 100. I mean, if you got 2, you probably just want to go ahead and get the drug test done. But if you got 1, you can use the same exemption. But
Okay.
I want us to really hone in on this first point before we talk about this exemption for pre-employment drug testing. Because I don't know if you recall when we did a FMCSR workshop and I made mention the definition of a safety sensitive function, and everybody kind of looked at us big-eyed because we all thought, at least for myself thought, that the safety sensitive function was just driving.
No.
So we need to clear that up first. So when we say this safety sensitive function, we're talking about what? Loading, unloading, driving. We want to allow a driver to ride along with someone just to observe all of that safety sensitive function, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to keep that in mind. Okay. So back to this exemption. You acquired another trucking company. And let's just say it's 100 or more, since you put that number out there. And you say, man, trying to get 100 and something drivers into a facility to get a drug test is what? Too much.
Yes.
So what options do I have? Well, 32301 tells us that we can take this exemption, okay? But it's a lot of documentation that goes into this. So the exemption, and I'm looking down because I want to make sure we understand what 32301 states. It says, if an employer is not required or doesn't want to administer a controlled substance test required by this particular regulation, this section 32301, the driver, they have to verify. You have to verify this information, and this is where it becomes, it's a beauty when you have an acquisition and you can get the records.
Right.
Okay? You got access to the records. Everybody understand that? What did I just say?
Access to the records. So
Okay.
you have tangible records, either
Right.
electronically or in paper format.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right?
With the history.
And that the driver, you can prove this. You can verify. Remember, if it's not documented,
It didn't happen.
okay, so that the driver has participated in a controlled substance test program that meets the requirements of this part within the previous 30 days, and while participating in that program, either the driver was tested for a controlled substance within the past 6 months from the date of the application with the employer, or, these words are very important, that's why I'm emphasizing them, participated in a random controlled substance testing program for the previous 12 months from the date of the application with the employer, and, the employer ensures that no prior employer of the driver whom the employer has knowledge has records of a violation of this part, which is 382, or the controlled substance use rule of another DOT agency within the previous 6 months. Now, that's a lot, okay? So there's some things that you are required to document, okay? It says that an employer who exercises this exemption shall, not may, shall contact the controlled substance testing program. That's why it's so important to have what? Access to the records.
Correct.
Or that drug and alcohol consortium of the company that you're inquiring. Okay, maybe you're not acquiring a company. You just said, I know the person and they'll give me the records. That's fine. But this is what you have to document and retain. The name and address of the programs where that particular driver was enrolled in. You have to have verification that the driver participated in that program. So maybe it is a current active list of drivers in that program, okay? Verification that the program conforms to Part 40 of this title. That's a lot in Part 40. You have to verify that the driver is qualified under the rules of the part, including that the driver has not refused or tested for a controlled substance, thank God for your favorite program, which is the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. That's your thing.
It is one of mine.
Yeah, that's one of many.
One of my many
Between
things.
the clearinghouse and the
ELDT.
Oh my goodness, see?
And all of the drug testing.
It's your section.
I don't know why.
I don't know. Excuse us. You also have to have the date the driver was last tested for controlled substance, and it says the results of any test taken within the previous 6 months and any other violations of the subpart. So the clearinghouse should help you to comply with that.
So that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That was a lot for you to go into
Yes.
in this. And so I'm probably going to add a link specifically to 382-301. And should you have any questions about this, we'd tell you to give us a call or shoot us an email.
Okay.
You can find our information at sctrucking.org. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Taryn. We'll see y'all on the next edition.